the United States has now clarified on the new H-1B visa rules, saying the fee is actually not applicable to the current visa holders. That's a clarification that has been issued by the United States, that the fee is not applicable for the current visa holders and it only applies to new visas and not renewals. So the old visa holders will not be charged. It's a one-time fee and not an annual fee that will be applicable. So these are the details that have come in. The White House press secretary has also said that this is not an annual fee. It's a one-time fee that applies only to the petition. So that's a clarification that has come in from the White House amid a lot of panic that had been caused by the sudden decision that came in from the White House, Trump signing the executive order, after which the White House has issued a clarification saying those who already hold H-1B visas and are currently outside the country right now will not be charged the amount that has been mentioned to re-enter. In fact, the H-1B visa holders can also leave and re-enter the country to the same extent as they normally would. So whatever the ability they have to do is not really impacted by the proclamation. This is the clarification that has been issued. You're seeing the details on the screens. The third point going on to say this applies only to the new visas, not the renewal. So there was a lot of concern among the Indian American community in the United States over the new H-1B visa rules. But now more details coming in that this applies only to the visas, not the renewals, and not the current visa holders. So it will first apply in the next upcoming lottery circle. So these are the clarifications that have been issued by the United States. Now, let's break it down for you and get you the details. What are the scenarios that could play out? So let's break it down for you and get you the details of what this could actually mean for you. So if you are an H-1B visa holder, you won't be blocked or asked to leave the United States, because there was a lot of panic on what would happen next. The detail coming in is that you will not be blocked or even asked to leave the United States. The new rules may not apply to the existing H-1B visa holders, and they can freely travel out of the country as well and return sans the payment. Now let's talk about scenario 2 as well, because the new rules may not apply to the existing H-1B visa. So this is the scenario that we're talking about. They can re-enter the United States even after the deadline without any payment whatsoever. Not just that, there are no hurdles in the entry into the United States as long as the visa is not actually expired. Now let's talk about what could happen when you're applying for these visas as well. The employer must pay the money that has been mentioned of the $100K dollars must be paid upfront by the employer to process your visa, and the employer may also seek exemption to the Homeland Security. The Homeland Security may permit it if it's an exceptional case, and so as long as the existing jobs are concerned, it is unlikely to be impacted. So a lot of questions have been raised over what could happen next and what would be the impact on the Indian American community. So these are the details of the clarification that has come in from the United States on the rules that apply now. Now, the details that have been mentioned are that this is not an annual fee. It's a one-time fee that applies only to the petition, and that those who already hold the H-1B visas and are currently outside the country will not be charged. So, Praful Bakshi, defense expert, joins us on the broadcast. Thank you for joining us. How do you look at the decision that has been taken by the United States and the clarification that has now been issued?
Thank you very much. You see, at the moment, the United States leadership is a little bit out of control, in the sense that the executive is doing first and then thinking later. And then that's why they have to make changes and they have to bring in modifications to what they have said. But by itself, it just shows that unreliability of the leadership of America, that is a little on the dangerous side, and depending too much on Trump now. This is of course too much of pressure to be put on anybody and any community. And obviously, they have decided to, target the Indian communities. And this way, they knew very well that most of the maximum effect will be there on Indian people who come to America, because they come and go there and take the jobs of, that's what they say, of the Americans away. And that is what they were trying to do, to dissuade them from coming. But having said that, once they pass this, they find that the repercussions will be very severe. And not only this, the other countries may join up with countries like India and then accommodate their people out there. So President Trump has realized that this is going to be a difficult thing again, as he realizes every time. And that's why the clarification has come that it's only one time, and those who already will have it taken will not be affected, etc. His further clarification he is giving so that India does not get upset. But I think Indian leadership has to take a decision as to how much of dependency they must show on Trump.
Okay, all right. Do stay with us. Ravinder Sachdev, international expert, is joining us on the broadcast. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Sachdev. There has been a lot of worry, there are a lot of concerns from the Indian-American community, among others as well, in the United States, because there was a sudden panic that they plunged into when the decision was made. There was no clarity. Now, of course, the United States has issued some clarifications on the fact that it does not affect those who currently hold these H-1B visas. But what do you make of these rules that have come in from the United States? Decision that has been made that affects millions and lakhs of people. More importantly, it makes it also seem like the United States itself is confused. How do you look at these new rules and the rule clarification that has been issued by the White House?
Thank you so much. I mean, yeah, sure. Without all it shows indicates the United States itself is, it's not confused. I mean, it is definitely stumbling its way ahead. That's one in terms of policy. Secondly, regarding the clarifications, it's obviously correct. See, I've been on an H-1 visa myself also. In fact, when I took an H-1 visa, the cost that the company which was hiring me had to pay for applying for the H-1B visa was something like only $1,000. But that I'm talking 35 years ago. The point is, when your company applies for an H-1B on your behalf, okay, it has to pay a certain fee. So obviously, the fee, whatever it was, if it was $1,000 or now $100,000, would be paid when a new H-1B application is being made. People who are already on an H-1B, the company does not have to pay any fee for that because they already have that visa. Yes, it would apply because any H-1B is only for 3 years. So somebody who's already on an H-1B, right, it does not apply to them, this new fee. But yes, maybe after a year or two, because let's say it's a 3-year duration that they have, the visa has. The next time when they are going, that is folks who are in the US and whose company is going to renew the H-1 visa, at that point of time, the additional fee would have to be paid. But what is still not very clear to me is that they're talking about $100,000 a year. Now, if it's $100,000 a year, I mean, then it means that an H-1 visa is normally of 3 years. So would it mean it's actually $300,000 to be paid or yearly $100,000 to be paid? So that I'm not very clear about yet. But yes, as of now, those who are on an H-1B visa, they need not worry. But within a year or within 2, whenever their current H-1 of 3 years would expire, they would need, or rather the company who is hiring them would need to pay an additional, would need to pay the fee of $100,000 that is being talked about.
Okay, all right. Mr. Ravinder Sachdev, thank you for joining us on the broadcast. The questions over the long-term impact of the same also still continues. But for now, the confusion that continues, that's been cleared. Pathikrit Payne also joining us on the broadcast, a strategic expert. What do you make of the United States and the rules that have been brought in?
Well, correction, it's Pathikrit Payne, number one. Secondly, I think this kind of rule is going to impact the American companies equally badly. And I think the confusion in terms of whether it is for the existing H-1B visa holder or the ones who would be the fresher, there has been a lot of lack of clarity. I think if you look at what is happening in terms of first, putting in tariff of 25%, then 50%, calling India dead economy, targeting India's top industrialists, then, there are this kind of restrictive policies being brought in. I think all are eventually being targeted to, unfortunately, pressurize the government of India. I would not be surprised if these are small, elements or tentacles of regime change operations, because these are all, and if you look at the way they are trying to put pressure on the government, on the economy, so that there is, sort of an uprising. So, but these are going to backfire because this kind of, policy is impacting or would be impacting the American companies extremely badly, because H-1B visa restrictions does not necessarily translate into Americans doing the same work which can be proficiently done by Indians in the same way. So there are ways of translating that in terms of creating capability over a period of time instead of something like this. More of offshoring of work would happen to India instead of people going there. And I think the American companies or the Wall Street in general will not be very happy, or perhaps is not very happy with a decision like this. But it.
Okay, all right. Mr. Pathikrit Payne, thank you for joining us on the broadcast. So different perspectives on how this could actually play out on the long term. But let's also break it down for you and tell you how it all started, the decision that was made and the politics around it as well. India is studying the full implications of the hike of the H-1B visa fee by the Trump administration. And in a statement that has been issued yesterday by the Ministry of External Affairs, it stated that the industry in both India and the United States are expected to consult on the best way to move forward. In fact, India also cited humanitarian consequences by way of disruption that has been caused to the families who hold these H-1B visas, expressing hope that these disruptions can also be addressed suitably by the United States. Now, this statement by the MEA came even as immigration attorneys and companies had warned that the H-1B visa holders will have to return to the United States immediately or risk being stranded. Now, sources tell Times Now that the government of India has activated its missions abroad, advising all missions to extend all possible help to the Indian nationals who are traveling back to the United States in the next 24 hours or so. Now, news agency ANI has also quoted a senior U.S. administration official as saying that those who are leaving the country or visiting India do not need to actually rush back before Sunday or pay the fine that has been mentioned. Now, the official clarified that the fee is only for the new people who are getting the H-1B visas and not for those who are existing with the H-1B visas. So not the existing H-1B visa holders, but to those who are applying it newly. Now, the decision of the Trump administration is likely to impact Indian techies in particular the most, since they dominate the H-1B visa program with 70% approval under the program going to Indians even last year. Now, the H-1B visa fee, which currently ranges from 1.76 lakh rupees to 4.4 lakh rupees for Indians, will now go up to as much as 88 lakh rupees. So you're seeing the difference here from about 2 lakh to 4 lakh rupees, now jumping up to 88 lakh rupees. So the Trump administration defended this decision as a measure to protect the American jobs, ensuring that only the very high-skilled workers who are not replaceable by the American workers are actually brought into the country.
What this proclamation will do is raise the fee that companies pay to sponsor H-1B applicants to $100,000. This will ensure that the people they're bringing in are actually very highly skilled and that they're not replaceable by American workers. workers. So it'll protect American workers.
We need workers. We need great workers. And this pretty much ensures that that's what's going to happen.
Let's